What do you see as the relationship between the future Tibet and India?
Um, I believe that the fact that government of India had been a nation that accepted us with the warmest regards and hospitality will lead to a very strong friendship. Hence, ensuring that Tibet and India has the strongest friendship, unlike what is happening right now at Indo-Tibet border. So I think that will certainly impact the relation that will be offered around the region. So I'm sure this is something that government of India would also like for the future of its own nation and its own sovereignty and security as well. So that is the truth. So I'm sure that we'll have a very prosperous and colorful relation with India once Tibet is free.
When we talk about a free Tibet, I remember, because I grew up in the 90s, there was all these, like Free Tibet was cool, right? The Beastie Boys and a bunch of other bands put on these Free Tibet concerts across the United States, across the world. And it was cool to, be like, wear a Free Tibet t-shirt and all that. At some point in the early 2000s, that all just kind of died away. Why do you think that happened?
Well, there are many reasons. That was impacted by the fact that at that time, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama had got his Nobel Peace Prize. Tibet as a nation and what we had to offer as a community in terms of Buddhism and our topic of peace was something that was really touching the hearts of many. And the fact that we also saw a serious revolution protest in occupied Tibet, apart from Tiananmen massacre. So all of these really impacted the geopolitical scenario, even within the grassroots level, So this is what we saw at that time. But sadly, the fact that the way the developed nation looked at China changed. They've realized that maybe this wrong hope, the delusion that they were living under, that if they want to change this dictatorial empire, they will have to offer democracy to them. That perhaps they'll actually be democratic nations, perhaps they'll actually be lenient, and so this is what they were hoping.
Right, if you give them trillions of dollars, then maybe they'll become democratic and not use that, for example, to build their military.
I hope that works, but that was the hope. That was a delusion that the world lived in. In fact, even America lived in that delusion, India too. So, but we never saw that change. It brought an opposite effect, and that really impacted the Tibet freedom movement. When the world started compromising with CCP, that impacted the Tibet movement. But that was a wrong decision. And I think especially now, when China is actually turning into this horrendous colonial empire, aggressing different countries, including India and, Black Sea, everywhere. We're looking into the state of Taiwan Strait everywhere. They've realized, they won't stop. And we saw China COVID, and it was beyond territory. They spread across the world. It impacted each one of us. We don't have one family member who hasn't died because of COVID. And we know where it came from. It was not something natural. We believe that it was actually built by CCP. So, we all were impacted by Chinese Communist Party and its atrocities. So it's not just us as Tibetans.
I mean, it's not going to be easy to get big corporations to sponsor a Free Tibet concert in this day and age. But what can people around the world do to make Free Tibet become cool again?
Maybe try to know about Tibet again. Maybe we have a new generation who do not know about Tibet at all. Perhaps the best thing they know is the Dalai Lama, nothing more than that. Perhaps we can make it cool by making it part of educational system, by making it part of our curriculum, putting it in our books, and for us to actually study Tibet, to know that it is actually cool to be part of a movement that stands with the truth, that stands against occupiers. So this is what is happening right now with Tibet or each one of our allies. So maybe, I don't know, I wouldn't know how to make it cool, but certainly it'll be uncool not to be part of a movement that is working against you, So perhaps we would want to be not join in the uncool share of the world right now, if I can put it that way.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to make anything cool. That's why I asked. You guys have any ideas?
The Beastie Boys should do another Free Tibet concert. I don't know why they stopped. They really let the beat drop.
Okay. Well,
Well, I'm sure that was very cool to all of our Gen Z
Yes.
audience.
Yes, we are one of the cools.
Maybe some other K-pop singers or groups to join us.
If they didn't have horrible ties to China.
Well, I don't know. I mean, China and South Korea are getting not that nice. There was something where BTS got in trouble for thanking the U.S. for supporting Korea. Do you
in
remember
the war.
this?
Yeah, that was a
yeah, it was.
It was like during the supporting South Korea during the Korean War.
Yeah.
I think that's less of a rift between China and South Korea and more of just like anything you say could set them off.
Right. They just want to scare them into towing the line. But I mean, so for people who are watching this, and probably no one is watching from inside Tibet or the People's Republic of China because YouTube is banned there. But for people watching, what can they do to kind of move things forward in a positive direction for Tibet and for East Turkestan and Southern Mongolia, Hong Kong, Taiwan?
Maybe begin by, of course, studying about the movement, first of all. Secondly, I would say associate yourselves with the organizations that is working on all these causes. Like when it comes to Tibet, we have like Tibetan Youth Congress, we have Students for Free Tibet, we have got many organizations working for the cause. Same with East Turkestan and Southern Mongolia, So perhaps go to them, reach out to them, or join the protests that we have. And of course, try to reach out to your elected leadership. Let them know that this cause matters to you and that we want you to join different policies that your government, respective government, is coming out with, and for your lawmakers to join and sign them along with them, because we have recently seen Resolve Tibet Act being amended and being turned into a law here in America. So, it's entirely because not just the Tibetan American communities, it's the Tibet supporters who joined in hand with the Tibetans, and they were able to lobby it to the elected leadership for them to, render support to, Resolve Tibet Act.
What was that act?
I would say that it's one of the very important acts that we have ever seen being passed in any parliament around the world, entirely because of the content of this act, which recognizes where the Congress, U.S. Congress recognizes Tibet as an independent nation in past, and that we have the right to self-determination for our future, that China as a nation is a threat which is forming and pushing in with lots of disinformation affecting the various movements. So we have contents like that, and we also have this right demarcation of actual Tibet within this, act. So I believe that those are very important matter that was collected and passed, by bipartisan support. So that was very important for us. I mean, it slightly changed when the president signed it with an extra clause with a different matter, saying that Tibet is part of China, despite the fact that we are recognizing and offering our support to Tibetans in preserving our culture, language, and everything. But it was slightly disheartening as a Tibetan to see that such an important act of challenging and handling the disinformation of CCP was handled with another disinformation that Tibet is part of China. So that was disheartening. But the fact that this act was had become an important document for the U.S. Congress is huge for us. And we want to see that implemented and passed in various other democracies around the world. So I believe that's an important act that we have seen in the United States. And we know that the allies of the United States in European countries, everywhere in Asia as well, they do look at what is happening in the U.S. So that was remarkable for us.
So with all this talk about having these different nations again, Tibet and East Turkestan and so on, And you mentioned the only way for that to really happen is for China to be a democracy, which is not going to happen under the Chinese Communist Party. So essentially, the Chinese Communist Party needs to be ended or overthrown for this to happen.
Completely.
How are you planning to overthrow the Communist Party?
I believe the word you're looking for is free China.
True. How do we free China? So I think I would not say that we have got a concrete plan, but we know a roadmap which consists of all of us, all of our allies working together and reaching out to the citizens of the world, letting them know that what is happening within China, within its occupied territories, impacting them as well. So we need everyone's support to work on this together and to see that, actually center falls apart from, in China. And what we're looking into is it's not just the allies of the occupied territory. We have many Chinese dissidents seeking democracy for their own country, on their people, because they have known and seen how the leadership of Chinese Communist Party have acted and how what is happening under Xi Jinping, and then he'll probably be the leader forever until he dies, and he's been doing that with the amendments that he's bringing in the constitution of this China. So with all these things happening, the roadmap that I see is for us to continue to, work on this. I can't say that it'll happen in 10 years, it'll happen in 20 years, but we never know. We could see it, it could happen, So I think it's important that we are prepared. We know what we want to do when it actually happens, because the freedom movements around the world, independence that nations have attained, even in India, it wasn't planned. The people continue to work on what they should be doing. And when the time was right, when the geopolitical situation was right, they got the independence. They got the freedom that they deserved. So we can't say it'll happen in 10 years, but we're hopeful. And then we're working really hard on that. More importantly, Tibetans inside Tibet, I believe even in Uyghur, East Turkestan, despite the control, everyone's trying to raise their voice in pressuring CCP and its leadership at different local level as well. So I think everyone's doing what we can. So this is something that we should continue to do. And for me personally, I'm doing that because, I truly believe that the movement should not stop with one generation. My late father, he was a political prisoner. He literally put his life on thread, was imprisoned because of that. So I cannot not be an activist and, the one who really breaks the chain and not hand over the movement. So we are looking into each one of the families of those occupied territories working like that. So I think that could result in something positive, and that is free China and free Tibet and free East Turkestan and free Southern Mongolia. So why not continue to work? So this is all what we are doing.